When they underestimated me, that was their last mistake. It started on a Tuesday morning. I had been up since 4 a.m. reviewing penetration test reports for a Fortune 500 client when my phone buzzed with a motion alert from our home security system. Standard stuff, probably the neighbor's cat triggering the backyard sensors again. I almost dismissed it, but something about the timestamp caught my attention. 6:47 a.m. Melissa never got up before 8. I pulled up the live feed on my secondary monitor, expecting to see her grabbing an early coffee. Instead, I watched my wife of 4 years unlock our front door and let in a man I'd never seen before. Tall, expensive suit, the kind of confident stride that screams, "I make more money than you." They weren't talking. They were moving with the practiced efficiency of people who'd done this before. My fingers hovered over the keyboard. Part of me wanted to storm home, confront them, make a scene. But that's not how my mind works. I'm a cybersecurity specialist. I analyze threats methodically, gather intelligence, then neutralize them completely. So instead, I did what I do best. I watched, I documented, and I planned. The footage was crystal clear. High definition, multiple angles, audio sync. I'd installed this system myself 18 months ago, after a break-in scare in the neighborhood. Melissa had rolled her eyes at the expense, called it overkill for suburbia. The irony wasn't lost on me now. She'd complained about the cost while I was using income she didn't know existed. See, here's what Melissa didn't understand about my real job. While she thought I was Jake Sullivan, senior IT analyst at Hartwell Industries, pulling down 68 grand a year, I was actually the founder and CEO of Secure Shield Solutions. We specialized in penetration testing and digital forensics for government agencies and Fortune 500 companies. The Hartwell job? That was just my cover, a way to maintain operational security while building something that mattered. 3 years ago, my business partner Austin Brooks and I had started Secure Shield in his garage. We'd spent 18 months bootstrap building while keeping our day jobs, taking on small contracts, proving our methodology. Then everything changed when the Department of Homeland Security reached out about a classified project. 18 months of background checks, security clearances, and proof of concept demonstrations later, we had our first 8-figure contract. I saved the security footage to an encrypted drive and continued my workday like nothing had happened. But my mind was racing, connecting dots with the same systematic approach I used to map network vulnerabilities. The affair wasn't a surprise. I'd suspected for weeks. What surprised me was the timing. 3 days before her birthday party, the party I'd been secretly funding for months. That evening, Melissa came home with her usual Tuesday routine: kiss on the cheek, complaints about traffic, scrolling through her phone while I cooked dinner. She was particularly animated about her upcoming birthday celebration. "Everything's coming together perfectly," she said, not looking up from her screen. "The country club confirmed the reservation. The catering's locked in. It's going to be amazing." I nodded, stirring the pasta sauce. The country club where I'd conducted a security assessment 8 months ago, back when Secure Shield was smaller and I still took on local contracts personally. Another piece of operational intelligence I'd filed away, without realizing its future value. "Sounds like you've worked hard on it." "I have, and honestly," she finally looked at me, "I think this party will really show people who I am, what I've accomplished, what she'd accomplished, with money from our joint account. Money I'd been quietly transferring from Secure Shield's revenue for 3 years, while she thought our comfortable lifestyle came from my modest IT salary and her marketing agency income. "I'm sure it will," I said. She smiled that particular smile she used when she was pleased with herself. "Samantha and the girls are so excited. They keep saying how lucky I am to be able to throw something this elegant. It feels good to finally do something impressive." There was that word again. Impressive. It had been coming up a lot lately in her conversations with friends. Jake's not very impressive. He's stable, but not impressive. Sweet guy, but, not impressive. I'd been hearing variations of this for months. Not through invasive surveillance, I'm not that guy, but through the natural acoustics of our house. Thin walls, strategically placed baby monitor from when we thought we might want kids. Conversations that carried from the bedroom to my home office. Call it occupational awareness, but when your job involves finding security vulnerabilities, you tend to notice information leaks everywhere, including in your own marriage. Speaking of the party, I said carefully, what time should I be ready Saturday? She paused, fork halfway to her mouth. The hesitation lasted just long enough to be noticeable. Oh, about that, I've been thinking maybe this should be more of a girls thing. You know how you get at parties? You always end up talking to the waitstaff about their computer problems or something. The accusation stung because it was partially true. I did have a habit of helping people with tech issues. Occupational hazard of actually understanding systems that most people found mysterious. But that wasn't the real reason she didn't want me there. I see. It's nothing personal. It's just, these are important people, clients, potential connections. I need to make the right impression. The right impression. Without her unimpressive husband who fixed computers for a living. I went to bed that night with a clear plan forming in my head. By morning, I'd refined it to mathematical precision. Wednesday, through Friday passed in a careful choreography of normalcy. I went to my cover job at Hartwell Industries, played the role of senior IT analyst Jake Sullivan, answered emails about password resets and VPN troubleshooting. Meanwhile, Secure Shield was finalizing a $4.2 million contract extension with the Pentagon Cyber Command. 28 employees, 15 active government contracts, and a company valuation that had crossed $30 million 8 months ago when we completed our Series A funding round. The cognitive dissonance was surreal. At Hartwell, I'd spend 40 minutes in a meeting about upgrading the email server. At Secure Shield, I'd review penetration test results that could affect national security infrastructure. But compartmentalization is essential in cybersecurity work. You learn to keep different levels of clearance separate, different projects isolated, different versions of yourself running simultaneously. Melissa didn't know about Secure Shield. As far as she knew, I worked in a cubicle and made decent but unremarkable money. It wasn't deception exactly. I'd started the company while we were dating, but kept it quiet because startup success is never guaranteed. By the time we married, keeping the secret had become strategic necessity. Government contracts require operational security. Spouses of cleared personnel undergo their own background investigations. The paperwork alone would have raised questions I wasn't ready to answer. Wednesday evening brought more footage. Same time, same pattern. Thursday, again. My wife was maintaining a schedule more precise than our government contracts. The audio quality was particularly revealing. My security system used military-grade recording equipment, a side benefit of having access to restricted technology vendors. I listened to conversations that painted a picture of contempt I hadn't fully grasped. My boring job, my predictable routines, my apparent lack of ambition. The way I settled for a comfortable suburban life instead of reaching for something impressive. Her lover agreed enthusiastically, sharing his own observations about my obvious mediocrity. Thursday night, Melissa received a call from Samantha Torres, her best friend and chief enabler. I was in my home office, ostensibly working on Hartwell documentation, actually reviewing Secure Shield's quarterly financials. The conversation carried clearly through our poorly insulated walls. "I'm so excited about Saturday," Samantha said. "This is going to be the event of the year. You've really outdone yourself." "I know, right? I can't believe I pulled this together. The country club, the catering, the whole setup. It's exactly what I envisioned." What she'd envisioned. With my money, from my secret company that generated more revenue in a quarter than she made in 3 years. "And Jake's not coming?" Samantha's voice carried that particular tone women use when discussing disappointing men. "No," I decided. "This should be more sophisticated. You know how he gets at parties, always trying to fix someone's phone or explaining how their Wi-Fi works. It's embarrassing." They both laughed. The sound cut through the wall like digital static. "Honestly," Melissa continued, "sometimes I think I settled. Like, he's safe and stable, but is that enough? Shouldn't I be with someone who challenges me? Someone impressive?" "You deserve someone on your level," Samantha agreed. "Someone with real ambition." I closed the laptop and walked to my desk drawer. Inside was a ring box I'd been carrying for 2 months, waiting for the right moment. Platinum setting, 2-carat diamond, custom designed based on a ring she'd admired in a jewelry store window 6 months ago. $32,000, roughly what she thought I made in 6 months. That night, I couldn't sleep. not from emotional turmoil, but from the tactical planning phase my mind had entered. Every successful penetration test follows the same methodology: reconnaissance, vulnerability assessment, exploitation, and post-exploitation activity. Personal relationships, I was discovering, operated on similar principles. I'd completed reconnaissance. The affair was documented. Her true opinions about our marriage were recorded. The financial disparities were clear. Now, I needed to assess vulnerabilities and plan exploitation. Friday morning brought interesting developments. Austin called with news about our Pentagon contract extension. "They're talking about expanding scope," he said. "Cyber warfare simulation, red team exercises against critical infrastructure. Could be another 8 figures over 3 years. Timeline? Fast track. They want our team embedded by January. Full security clearance upgrade for core staff. This could put us in the big leagues, Jake. Defense contractor territory. Defense contractor territory, where company valuations started at 9 figures and acquisition offers came from aerospace giants with unlimited government budgets. The kind of trajectory that turned $30 million companies into billion-dollar entities within 5 years. What do you need from me? Full commitment. No more part-time CEO routine. Time to burn the cover job and go public with what we've built. After the call, I sat in my Hartwell Industries cubicle and composed my resignation letter. 2 weeks' notice, citing new opportunities, professionally cordial. I scheduled it to send Monday morning. Friday evening, Melissa was particularly affectionate. Guilty conscience, maybe, or anticipation of her perfect party weekend. She cooked dinner, a rare occurrence, and seemed almost nostalgic about our relationship. "You know I love you, right?" she said over dessert. "I know. Sometimes I worry we're in a rut, like we're just going through the motions." If she only knew how right she was, but not the way she imagined. "Maybe after your party we can plan something special. A vacation, maybe. Somewhere we've never been." I nodded, thinking about the resort reservation I'd canceled that morning. The Napa Valley weekend I'd planned as her birthday surprise, complete with the proposal at the vineyard where we'd had our first anniversary dinner. "That sounds nice," I said. Saturday morning arrived clear and cold. Melissa spent 3 hours getting ready, transforming herself into the version of herself she thought deserved better than me. I watched her through the bathroom mirror as she applied makeup with surgical precision, preparing for her performance. "You look beautiful," I said, watching her final preparations. "Thank you?" She didn't turn around. In the mirror, I could see her practicing expressions, the laugh she'd use for funny stories, the concerned face for serious conversations, the humble smile for compliments about the party she thought she'd planned herself. "What are your plans today?" "Probably just work on some personal projects, maybe catch up on reading." She nodded absently, applying lipstick with the precision of someone preparing for battle. "I might be late tonight. You know how these things go. Everyone will want to keep celebrating. Everyone except me, apparently." After she left, I opened my laptop and began final preparations. The country club's network architecture was familiar territory. I'd mapped every vulnerability during my security assessment 8 months ago. Their AV system could accept external input through multiple vectors, most of which their IT staff didn't even know existed. The presentation files were already prepared: security footage, financial documentation, corporate records, and a few surprises I'd been saving. Everything arranged in a careful sequence designed for maximum psychological impact. The methodology was identical to a penetration test: identify the target, gather intelligence, exploit vulnerabilities, maintain persistence, and execute payload delivery at the moment of maximum effectiveness. I arrived at the country club at 3 p.m., 2 hours before party start time. The valet recognized me from my previous work there. "Mr. Sullivan, good to see you. Here for Mrs. Sullivan's celebration." "Something like that," I said, handing him the keys to my Tesla Model S. Melissa thought I leased a Honda Civic for $340 per month. The Tesla was registered under Secure Shield Solutions, one of many assets hidden in corporate structures she'd never bothered to investigate. Inside, I found Patricia Hendricks, the venue manager. We'd worked together closely during the security assessment, developing protocols for protecting high-value events from digital threats. "Jake, I didn't expect to see you today. Melissa mentioned this was a girls' celebration." "Change of plans," I said. "I was hoping to make a small presentation during the party. Nothing elaborate, Just a birthday surprise from my wife. Patricia's face lit up with professional enthusiasm. How romantic. The AV booth is set up in the back corner. You know the system from your security work. Need any assistance? I should be fine. Mind if I run a few tests? Of course not. Take your time. I spent the next 90 minutes configuring everything with the thoroughness of a government contract deliverable. Laptop connected through encrypted channels, backup drives loaded with redundant data, wireless presentation, remote tested and calibrated. The large screens positioned around the dining room would display whatever I chose to share. Multiple fail-safes ensured no technical difficulties could interrupt the presentation once it began. The security footage was edited into a clean narrative sequence, timestamps clearly visible, audio levels balanced for optimal clarity, multiple camera angles providing comprehensive coverage. Financial documents were organized chronologically, showing 3 years of Secure Shield revenue growth alongside our joint account transactions. Corporate filings, government contract awards, personnel records, everything needed to paint a complete picture of the company Melissa didn't know existed. Guests started arriving at 5 p.m. I positioned myself at the bar, close enough to observe, but far enough away to avoid premature conversations. The demographic was exactly what I'd expected. Marketing agency colleagues, the social circle Melissa had cultivated over 4 years, and a few clients she'd been courting for potential business development. Melissa made her entrance at 5:30, resplendent in a red dress that cost more than most people's monthly salary. The crowd applauded. She basked in the attention, moving through the room with the confidence of someone who believed she'd earned everything she was celebrating. I recognized most of the faces from her social media posts and work events. Samantha Torres held court near the appetizer table, regaling a group with stories about Melissa's incredible transformation over the past year. Other friends discussed her recent promotion, her new apartment hunting in more upscale neighborhoods, her plans for upgrading various aspects of her life. The conversation patterns were revealing. Melissa had clearly been positioning herself as a woman on the rise, someone who'd outgrown her current circumstances and was ready for bigger things. The narrative she'd constructed required a husband who was holding her back, someone safe but uninspiring whom she'd eventually need to leave behind for someone more worthy of her elevated status. Dinner was served at 7 p.m., 3 courses, each dish from the menu I'd selected and paid for months earlier. I sat alone at a corner table, observing the social dynamics while reviewing my presentation notes one final time. The irony wasn't lost on me. I was attending my own wife's birthday party as an uninvited guest, preparing to reveal truths that would fundamentally alter everyone's understanding of reality. During the main course, Melissa finally noticed me. I watched as her gaze swept the venue and landed on my table. Shock registered across her features, mouth slightly open, fork frozen halfway to her lips. She said something urgent to Samantha, who turned to look in my direction with obvious confusion. A brief conference ensued at the head table. Animated whispers, concerned glances, defensive gestures. Whatever explanation Melissa was providing, Samantha didn't look satisfied. Other friends began noticing the distraction, following sightlines to identify the source of disruption. Dessert plates were cleared at 8:30. Patricia dimmed the lights and activated the presentation system as planned. The screens came to life with the Secure Shield Solutions logo, crisp and professional against the elegant venue backdrop. I stood up, picked up the wireless remote, and walked toward the front of the room. Conversations gradually quieted as people realized something unscheduled was about to happen. The microphone was already positioned, volume levels tested and optimized. I looked out at 60 faces, some curious, some confused, some beginning to show concern about this unexpected development. Melissa had gone completely pale. "Good evening," I said into the microphone, my voice carrying clearly through the sound system. "For those who don't know me, my name is Jake Sullivan. I was married to the birthday girl for 4 years, until about 48 hours ago, when I discovered some interesting information that I thought everyone should hear." Murmurs rippled through the crowd. People turned in their seats, trying to process this unexpected development. Melissa gripped the edge of her table, knuckles white against the linen tablecloth. "I'm not here to ruin anyone's evening. I'm here because I paid for this party, and I believe in transparency, especially when it comes to understanding who people really are." The first slide appeared. Security camera footage, time-stamped Tuesday 6:47 a.m. High-definition clarity showed Melissa unlocking our front door, the stranger entering, their immediate movement toward the bedroom. The audio was crystal clear. "This is footage from Tuesday morning," I continued, my voice steady and professional. "Multiple angles, full audio recording. Notice the timestamp, and notice how comfortable they are with this routine." Gasps and whispers erupted throughout the room. Melissa stood up abruptly, chair scraping against the hardwood floor. "Jake, please don't." The next clips are from Wednesday and Thursday. Same time, same efficiency. Fascinating consistency for people supposedly having spontaneous encounters. More footage played. Different angles, conversations about my inadequacies, my boring job, my apparent lack of ambition. Audio of my wife and her lover planning their future together while discussing my obvious mediocrity. Samantha Torres looked mortified. Other friends stared at Melissa with expressions ranging from shock to disgust. The clients she'd invited to impress were pulling out phones, some recording, others presumably calling for rides. "Now," I said, advancing to the next slide, "let's discuss that boring job she mentioned." The screens filled with Secure Shield Solutions' corporate profile, revenue charts showing exponential growth over 3 years, client lists featuring recognizable government agencies and Fortune 500 companies, patent filings for proprietary cybersecurity methodologies. "My name is Jake Sullivan, and I'm the founder and CEO of Secure Shield Solutions. We specialize in penetration testing and digital forensics for high-value targets. Last year's revenue was $11.2 million. Our current valuation, following Series A funding 8 months ago, is $34 million. The silence was absolute. You could hear the air conditioning cycling in the background. We employ 31 of the best cybersecurity specialists in the country. We hold active contracts with the Department of Homeland Security, the Pentagon Cyber Command, and 12 Fortune 500 companies. Our work protects critical infrastructure that keeps this country functioning." I clicked to financial documentation showing 3 years of Secure Shield growth alongside joint account transactions. Every dollar Melissa has spent on her independent lifestyle came from the company she didn't know existed. The apartment she's been shopping for, funded by contracts she couldn't pronounce, the networking events where she meets impressive people, paid for by the boring husband who wasn't worth impressing. Next slide. Photographs of the engagement ring, professional appraisal documentation, custom design specifications. "I was planning to propose tonight. 2-carat diamond, platinum setting, custom designed based on jewelry she admired 6 months ago. $34,000, roughly half of what she thought I made annually." Melissa was crying now, makeup streaming down her face in dark rivulets. "But here's what's really interesting about cybersecurity work," I continued, warming to the technical explanation. "The most dangerous threats aren't external attacks. They're insider threats. People with access, people you trust, people who exploit that trust for personal gain, while fundamentally misunderstanding the systems they're trying to manipulate." The final slides began. Text message screenshots between Melissa and her friends, email chains coordinating the affair, financial records showing her credit card purchases funded by transfers from our joint account. These are your wife's actual opinions about the man funding her impressive lifestyle, her plans for a future that doesn't include the unimpressive husband who built all of this, while she was busy networking with more suitable partners. I turned to face Melissa directly, speaking to her for the first time since beginning the presentation. "You wanted someone impressive, sweetheart, someone with real ambition, someone worthy of your elevated standards." I gestured toward the screen still displaying Secure Shield's government contract awards. "You had that person for 4 years. You just never bothered to ask the right questions." The room erupted into chaos, voices, accusations, the sound of chairs being pushed back as people stood. Some guests were recording everything on their phones. Others were already heading for the exits. Melissa's carefully curated birthday celebration had become a public destruction of her reputation. I walked calmly toward the exit, leaving the presentation remote on the bar. In the parking lot, I waited by the Tesla, knowing she'd follow. It didn't take long. Melissa found me 5 minutes later, heels clicking frantically on the asphalt, mascara creating abstract patterns on her cheeks. "How could you do this to me?" she screamed. "How could you humiliate me like that in front of everyone?" "I didn't humiliate you," I said, opening the car door. "I revealed you. There's a significant difference. You've been lying to me for years. I've been building something extraordinary. You've been systematically undermining it without realizing what you were destroying." She was sobbing now. The carefully constructed facade completely collapsed. "We can fix this. We can work through it. People make mistakes." "No," I said quietly. "We can't. Because this isn't about the affair, Melissa. It's about spending 4 years with someone you fundamentally didn't respect. And when given multiple opportunities to know me better, you consistently chose to know me less." I got in the Tesla and drove away, leaving her standing alone in the parking lot while her former friends dealt with the aftermath of their evening's education. Monday morning, my resignation letter auto-sent to Hartwell Industries. By noon, I was in Secure Shield's headquarters, fielding calls from reporters and acquisition specialists who'd somehow heard about the weekend's events. By Wednesday, we had 3 new contract inquiries and 2 preliminary acquisition discussions. The truth, I discovered, has remarkable marketing value. 18 months later, Secure Shield accepted an acquisition offer from Northrop Grumman. $68 million for a company built in the shadows while my ex-wife searched for someone more impressive. These days, I wake up in a downtown penthouse with floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the city where I used to hide what I was building. The engagement ring sits in my desk drawer, not from nostalgia, but as a reminder that the most expensive mistake you can make is underestimating someone who's been watching you very carefully the whole time. The cameras are always recording, the network never forgets, and sometimes the quiet guy fixing everyone's computers turns out to be exactly the person you should have been impressing all along.